How are you?
Questions for Coach?
Open up the questions.
James, first time this season that we've seen Daquan, Amin, and Kazai in their normal uniforms out here participating in practice. Is that an indication of what their status is going to be, availability?
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. We'll see how it all plays out. Not sure. Can't really speak on it yet.
How have those guys handled the absence? I know they were probably all excited to play football this year, to watch the first 120 minutes of the season. How have they dealt with that?
Amin, I've been very impressed with his maturity and growth over the last couple of years. He's been really good. Hardy, I would say the same thing. And who's the other one?
Kazai.
Yeah, Kazia's had some bumps and bruises as well that have factored into that too. But yeah, all three of them have handled it well so far.
James, at what point will you make decisions on the 74? And are there yellows that you know will definitely go?
Yeah, so typically we announce those on Thursday, even to the players. They don't even completely know yet because those last 2 or 3 spots are based on practice and how practice goes. And obviously, if somebody tweaks something, then we gotta make some moves and make some changes. So that's usually pretty fluid until Thursday morning after the staff meeting, typically.
Can you speak to the value of taking yellows, which you've done in the past, to getting those guys on the road, and why do you do that when you do it?
Yeah, we typically try to rotate through that. All of those guys will get that travel experience. So the first time that they're doing it isn't the first time they're playing in a game, that they kind of understand what the expectations are. So whether it's a home game travel to stay at the hotel or whether it's on the road and get the full experience, we try to rotate through when we can to allow all those guys, especially the guys that we think are going to have a chance to really factor in for us next year.
James, how do Nick and Kaytron complement each other, differ in their skill sets, and how challenging do you think it is for opposing defenses to have to prepare for both of them?
Yeah, I think they have complementary skill sets. I think the thing that's nice though is they're both big backs, which allows them both to do a lot of things. That's why that short yardage goal line package is so effective for us, because both of them are 220-pound plus. They'll both block, they'll both carry, they both can run for hard yards inside. They both show the ability to make people miss and get on the perimeter. I think if you look at their ability to be explosive, I think they're really good complementary pieces. That we can do a lot of different things with, which I think that's what makes it so exciting as an offensive coordinator, to be able to work with those two guys and call a game with those two guys. And I would actually say, I said to Jaywan today, that it looks like Potts is just getting more comfortable within the offense, more comfortable with in terms of just kind of how we do things around here. And I see him practicing better and better and better. So we got 3 guys that we got a lot of confidence in, some young, exciting guys behind them. So, as a defensive coordinator, I guess to answer your question, that's the challenge. If you can put guys into categories, like we've talked about with tight ends in the past, where this guy's really a receiver, he's not a blocker, or this guy's a blocker and not a receiver, when you can do both as at the tight end position or as a running back, where you can get the tough yards inside, you can get on the perimeter and create some explosive plays, you're willing to block and run, and you got a body that you can match up in protection as well. That's where you become a challenging offense to defend and a challenging matchup.
A major conversation after Michigan last year was getting bigger in the trenches. Had a Big Ten play this year. Where would you kind of assess where you guys are in the trenches?
Yeah, I think we've gotten bigger. I think we've talked about this multiple times. I think Hakeem was like 270 last year. He's like 285. Same with Zane. He was like 275. He's like 285 now. So I think there are some examples of guys that have gotten bigger. Same thing on the offensive line. So I think we've gotten bigger. We've talked about this a decent amount.
Is there a difference in opening on the road in the Big Ten in week 3 than it was the last 2 years as your season opener?
I'm not sure. We're just experts of opening on the road, whether it's the first game, the second game, the third game, the fourth game. Not only in my 10 years, but I think over the last 15 years. we're experts. I think we're going to put an off-season clinic on how to open the Big Ten.
James, how would you say Liam's been doing in his role in the offense, and how have you seen him kind of evolve as a leader since he got to Penn State now that he's in year 3?
I think he learned a lot from his brother's experience. So it's kind of like having, it's kind of like having an older brother who played in the NFL or an older brother who played major college football. There's value in that, and then even more so when the guy did it at the same school and you were able to go through the process with him and understand the culture and the expectations. So in some ways it's like a coach's kid that just is way ahead of the curve compared to most people because they've just been around it pretty much his whole life. I remember Liam coming to camp here as a quarterback, I think in 9th grade, if I remember correctly. So he's been around for a long time. And, he's a guy that I think the coaching staff and the players feel like they can depend on, that he can make plays, that he's consistent. He's done a really good job, I think, over the last year of taking care of his body, because in the past I think that's been a little thing that's kind of held him up. He's had some kind of nagging injuries that have happened to him, but he's just doing a much better job of all the things you have to do to be a consistent football player. And I think he's going to have a big year for us. I think he's going to have some breakout games and things like that. But we have a lot of confidence in him and a lot of belief.
We haven't seen a field goal attempt here in the last week plus at this point.
Last game?
Well, you guys had extra points, but we didn't see a field goal in the game.
I know, but we haven't seen a field goal last game.
Yeah, so
Yeah, you started off like it was like a long period of time.
It's a week plus, whatever.
It's like another one of these questions. Okay,
No. So I'm just saying we haven't seen one. So how has your confidence changed in practice? What have you seen on the practice field for both of those games?
It's good. It's good. It's been a week. It's been good. They've kicked well.
James, with Adisa as one of your leaders, how has his role made an impact on this team?
Yeah, Adisa's has been great. Really has been since he's arrived on campus. He's a very mature guy. I think you guys know kind of his background with his family, and he just came in very mature, very prepared, very steady. And I've been impressed with him. He just continues to develop as a football player. He's had some injuries he's had to overcome. Obviously, he was voted as a captain, so he's universally respected. And I think as this year goes on, you're going to see him continue to get more production and make more plays for, especially depending on the offenses we play.
Coach Franklin, you're number one in offense in both yards and touchdowns. What do you make of that headed into this matchup this week?
Yeah, I think the stats are nice. I think they matter at the end of the season. I don't think they really matter at the beginning of the season because the schedules are so different. But obviously, we're doing some good things. We're balanced right now on both the run game and the pass game in terms of the ability to do it. We're able to get the ball in the end zone. We're efficient, staying on schedule, and we were better last week on 3rd down. So we're doing some nice things, but I don't get caught up. We don't get caught up a whole lot in stats early in the season, just like rankings early in the season.
James, you're through 2 games with Mike up in the booth calling the offense. How's that communication been? How do you feel the operation has done through these first 2 weeks?
I think that's the reason for the stats.
Yeah.
No, I'm just. I think it's been good. I said before, I think it's clearly the better place to call the game. You can see it better. You're removed from the emotion. I think Danny O'Brien's done a good job on the sideline as well. That's helped. But I think so far so good, and we've had to iron out a few kinks, that have happened, whether it's been with personnel or substitutions or there's some things that we got to get ironed out, in terms of just a little bit of the differences on the sideline. But I think it's been good, and I think he's been comfortable with it as well. And it's, again, as long as we continue to communicate well and score the points that we're scoring and get the yards that we're getting, then obviously I think it's been a good decision for Penn State.
James, what's the progress report on Tony Rojas? We spent so much time discussing him in the spring. How has that kind of carried over here a couple games in his career?
Yeah, I think he's playing well. He had some flash plays last week that were impressive. I think the reps that he's also getting on special teams is valuable as well. I think those guys that are able to play and get offense or defensive reps as well as special teams, there's a ton of value. You know, that's where sometimes with the offensive linemen that are playing, it's good, but they don't have as many opportunities on special teams. So guys like a linebacker is able to start on multiple special teams units and get some defensive reps. I think it really, you know, encourages and helps their maturation process. But he's doing some really good things. I think you'll see his role continue to grow as the season goes on.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.